much energy in this room on a Friday afternoon. As they say in diplomatic circles, we have a full and far-reaching agenda. And we have an academic division meeting that is going to follow on the heels of this meeting. So I will move it along so that I don't encroach on the academic division time. First of all, I'd like to say welcome. I'd like to introduce all of you to our new Director of Admissions, Steve Fitton. Steve, please stand. Please, I'd love your feedback on commencement speaker, and I'd love some volunteers from the academic side of the house for the commencement committee. So please get that information into Megan as soon as possible. I'd also appreciate your recommendations on persons to serve on the Regional Advisory Council. The council in the past has been small. I'd really like to get the council up to at least 40 to 50 members. And the main reason for that is I'm looking for representation from all the towns that we serve students, because I think those persons can help to be ambassadors for the college. And my hope is that they can help to recruit students and be our informal admissions office out there so we can increase our enrollments. The last piece that I'd like to share with you is the governance document revision. This is a priority for me and for the college, so I welcome your input. I ask for participation because I want to make sure that the governance document really reflects all constituencies of the college: faculty, staff, and students. So please see Vicki Baker. There's a whole host of articles that I have collected over the summer, documents that I think can be helpful in terms of educating everyone about shared governance. Kim is working with Megan to have a site that people can go into to read those documents. And there are 2 books that are on reserve in the library. So please provide your input on that. Next, I'd like to introduce Dean Ann Branchini, who will talk about a variety of activities that are happening in the academic affairs area. There you go, Ann.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary Ellen. I just wanted to use my about 4 minutes, I think I have, to highlight a few major initiatives that are going on in the academic division this year. The first of which is listed here. Mostly they take the form of different policies. There's a lot of activity on the transfer and articulation policy this year. Right now this semester we're undergoing a project that's doing course mapping of our liberal arts and science courses to the Gen Ed competencies. Our priority is going to be working with the liberal arts and science courses first, and so the Gen Ed committee is working alongside with the Liberal Arts and Science Committee to assist the departments who have liberal arts and science courses in their course selection inventory to review the outcomes and competencies within the courses, rank them and rate them, and there's a whole process involved with vetting these courses to determine which courses meet which of our competencies. The departments most affected are math, science, social science, humanities, and the English departments. And my great thanks goes out to the members of the Gen Ed committee and the members of those departments, because this is a lot of work. It's also, as with many of the timelines for these academic policies, we're on a very short timeline. So I just want to express my deep appreciation for what you're doing, because I know how much work this is, and I really value the input that the faculty has. It's really the faculty that have to make these decisions, and I believe it's in your hands, and I know you'll do a great job. The report will go forward. We're hoping to be able to get this to move forward in January, and so the work primarily, I think, is going to end up happening during the course of this semester. So Mike Stutz and Joe Salvaggio are the co-chairs of Gen Ed Task Force, or Gen Ed Committee, and Sarah Selk is our FERC representative, and Sarah, you'll have to tell me what that FERC stands for, F-I-R-C. But basically, she's the college's representative to the Gen Ed, statewide Gen Ed group right now, to make sure that we're working in the right direction. There's another policy called the Academic Program Review Policy that was passed late in the summer. This is requiring that we do scheduled reviews for all of our programs, and our Board of Regents wants a 3-year schedule of reviews for every college. So I had to devise and submit a schedule for our college. We have 29 programs, and this includes associate degrees and certificates. 29 programs that will be reviewed this year, 20 programs for next year, and 12 programs for the following year. Accredited programs will submit routine required assessments for their accreditation, so it's not double the work. There will be a tool for the non-accredited programs that's basically taken from our program assessment tool at this college. And department chairs have the schedule. I passed it out to all the department chairs at our curriculum committee meeting, and they'll be bringing it forward to your department so you can see specifically where your program or your curriculum will lie within that 3-year schedule. I just want to let you know that what we did was we devised a schedule that would take advantage of where everyone is already currently at within their accreditation schedules, so that all you have to do is submit whatever you would have submitted already this year for your accreditation, or if you're on the 5-year schedule for this year, you'll be on that. And we've added certificates to the programs that already had degrees. So if your program has a couple of certificates, 1 or 2 certificates within the degree, you'll need to do the assessment for the certificate as well. But the enrollment data and all of the data should be consistent for both. So hopefully you're not doing extra work with that. The third policy I wanted to talk about is a policy that was actually just passed at the Academic and Student Affairs Committee of the board. It will be adopted at the October 16th Board of Regents meeting. The actual name of this committee, or this policy, is called Normalizing the Credit Hour Policy. But it's affectionately known by just about everybody as the 60-120 credit policy. This is the policy that requires all associate degrees to be 60 credits for various reasons I can get into another time. There are exceptions. There will be exceptions. We recognize that there's going to be exceptions, and there's a way and a process for us to go through and go about justifying that, which is going to be part of this process as we roll it out. I have not yet begun rolling this one out, mostly because I've been busy rolling the other ones out. We have 35 programs at this college of our 48 associate degree programs that are currently over 60. So we've got some work to do, but we're no different than our sister schools on this. The way I've devised it is we'll do it in phases. Phase 1, those programs with 61 to 65 credits will go in the first grouping, and the reason for that is I think we'll be able to do this fairly quickly for some of these programs. Phase 2, which might be a little more involved, I want to allow some time for some assessment, which is also going to be done this year, and the rollout for this policy is coinciding with the rollout for the assessment policy. So we should be able to gain information from the assessments that are done this year for phase 2 programs and phase 3 programs. There's been some discussion, and it's not entirely clear to me at the moment, although I think we have to take it into consideration. The question has been, do we have to count all of the prerequisite courses in here? In terms of determining where we end up with the program, we have to be 60 credits in our program of study. They do want us, the board does want us to pay attention to prerequisites. In other words, we can't bury prerequisites and pretend like they don't exist. So we're going to have a conversation about how we count those prerequisites, because once you start putting in prerequisites for some of our programs of study, we can be well over 70. Unfortunately, and we do have to address that, and the board does want us to address it, but how we address it is a really important question, and we haven't gotten to it yet, but we will get to that. The review process will require rationales for excess credits by December of 2016. So as we undergo this process, there are going to be some themes that emerge from going through these various iterations. We need to keep track of what those are and be in communication with our board so that by December of 2016, we can present rationales that will be reasonable and within accepted standards, and hopefully by that point, it should be very clear to us. Programs normalized, and the curriculum will be implemented and in effect by the fall of 2017, and these are the timelines that are written into the policy that will be adopted this month. Of course, I'm always available for the more discussion on this, but I just wanted to put it out there so everybody knows what we're working with. The last piece, and hopefully I'm staying in my time frame, the last piece I wanted to talk about is Transform 2020. As the liaison, the college liaison to the Transform 2020, I serve as a kind of a conduit of communication. There hasn't been a lot coming into the college about this. We participated in our town hall last month. A number of you graciously, and thank you very much for volunteering to participate in some of the initiatives. The next event that will happen is a student roundtable at the college. Just yesterday we scheduled it for Monday, October 27th from 12 noon to 1 p.m. in room D102. There will be a number of reminders that go out in various places. Dean Getchus is on top of that. But I also will ask the faculty to ask your students in class just before that to ask them to come to this roundtable. The board is very interested in the student input. They at first thought about having them participate in the town halls, but for students sometimes they're more comfortable speaking up and speaking out when they're among their peers. And the board was a little concerned, and they'd gotten some feedback from the student groups that they would feel more comfortable in their own group. So they built these special roundtables for student-only participation. And so it's my hope, and I will send out a reminder, it's my hope that you'll urge your students in your classes to attend this. And it will be conducted much in the same way that the town halls were conducted, except there will only be one person presenting instead of a whole team. The people that volunteered for the initiatives will be contacted by someone from the board or from one of the executive sponsors. They told me by the end of this month, and hopefully that will occur. If anyone has any specific questions about anything pertaining to 2020, please feel free to contact me, and I'll do my best to connect you with the right person. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Betty Valerja. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. So I think I have about 30 seconds, and I might have gone over just a little bit. Okay, hot off the press are the Foundation's annual reports that I hope you will all take a look at, enjoy. I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts about how we could do better in putting together this piece. Our annual appeal for the college has begun. And just to let you know, this is a year-long campaign. We accept gifts every day of the year, and our goal this year for the college is to increase participation. Last year, we had 50 donors that participated, and to date, we have 29 that have participated, so thank you very much. The average gift is $200, so some large gifts and smaller gifts, that it's actually really high for an average gift. I do want to just say one thing. I've had a number of people that have come up to me over the last couple of weeks and have said, I feel kind of weird, this isn't a lot of money, but I want to make a gift. And there's no gift that is too large or too small, because if you give a gift of $25, and 2 people at this table, and 3 at that table, and 12 that give from the community, those gifts really do add up. And they do. They add up to become a full scholarship for students. They add up to help fund programs and initiatives that we want to have here. So every gift makes a difference. And if I could just encourage you, if you've never given to the annual appeal and you would like to, start out with a gift that you're just comfortable with. It doesn't have to be $100. It could be $10. And when I think about sustainability, those are the types of gifts that we can sustain. If it's something that you can do every year, whether it's $10 or $100 or $1,000, it's really going to make a difference to the students and to all of us here at the college. We have over there to the left a table for our annual appeal for everyone to participate in. Guess how many bubblegum, Tootsie Rolls, and Hershey Kisses. We will be announcing the winners at our Funtober event on the 16th up in the gallery. We're going to have some lemonade and cookies. I do need to know, has anyone other than the person at my table taken any of the candy out? Oh, Phil! Which one did you take out of so that we know? Oh no, not that one. That's for you. Did you take out of the bubble gum, the Tootsie Rolls, or the Kisses?
No, I haven't had time yet.
You have, okay. So, if you made a guess for the Tootsie Roll, it's -1. Thank you, Marge. Thank you. And I am now introducing Steve Finton. You're up.
Okay, thanks, Betty. Just wanted to say thanks to everybody for helping me. I've only been here for almost 3 weeks now, and everyone's been really gracious to help me come along and come up to speed here. There is a lot to learn, but this is a great place, and there are a lot of great people doing some amazing things here. So I'm glad to be part of the team. I'm representing myself and Christine Langeth today. She asked me to send her regards. She's at a Dean's Council meeting today in Hartford. So I'm also going to share some of the notes that Christine asked me to send out on her behalf. One of the things I'm going to be working on is an enrollment management plan. I just want to let everybody know that. If there are folks in the room that think they might have an interest in some of those areas, or some of you already know, I've been reaching out to Pockets to help me kind of refine and develop that. It's probably about a 3-month journey for me, but that's something I'm working on right now. So you might see me in your office, coming to you, looking for some help on how we can develop that for the future. Next thing I'm going to do is take you to our website. Hold on here. And you can see on our website, right here on the home page, there's some really great things. One of which is right here under the Three Rivers announcements. Because when Christine asked me to share this with you, I didn't know where that was. But right there under the announcements, when you go there, there are, let me go back again. Right there. See counseling and advising events? Those are posted all over the campus, but people may or may not know that they're right there on the front page. And you can see that we have a number of workshops coming up, and that's what Christine wanted me to pass on to you. So you can see right there, right off the bat, in October, we've got Undecided About Your Major, Study Skills and Test-Taking Strategies, Veterans Resource Fair, and so on. There are a number of really terrific workshops that the staff is putting on. So I would encourage everybody to go. If you see something of interest, they're all published around the campus, but if you're not sure, after seeing this today, you can always go right there on the front page and find that information. Some other announcements that Christine asked me to pass on. For faculty members, student alerts from faculty are due on Monday. Registration for continuing degree-seeking students starts November 3rd. Schedules will be available October 15th. Advising holds are posted for first semester students. Advisors are reminded that they need to remove holds in order for students to register. And for students, your passwords can be reset by your phone. These are just little reminders by IT and the registrar's office. And that's it for announcements from Student Services. Thank you again. It's great to be here. All right, next up is my colleague, who's got a really interesting slideshow coming up, Laura Chen. Thank you.
Now he set the expectation to be so high. All right, if I can actually find the slideshow. All right.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
Get back.
How do I play?
And then just advance.
Okay, great. Thank you, Steve. All right. The president has asked me to go over some of the enrollment number for this semester. So it's going to be some high-level data. The total number of students we have this year is about 4,500 students, and that's unfortunately it's about 4.6 decline from last fall. And if you look at the composition of our students, about almost half of them are half-time. So half-time are students who register between 6 to 11 credit. And then about a third of our students are full-time. And then 20% are part-time. Now let's look at the enrollment type. It's actually very interesting and actually not surprising as well that if you look at the full-time students, there's a larger percentage of new students, almost 36%. But if you look at the part-time students, only 12 of them are new. So that, gives us an idea that a lot of time when students come to Two River for the first time, they're more likely to register for full-time. But then the following semester, for various reasons, they may decide to just take on one course part-time or half-time. Gender, no surprise there. It's been fairly consistent if we look over the last 5 years. Female is always about 60% versus male 40%. Now let's take a look at the age. Community college, traditionally the age group is a little bit older. But now if you look at our students, if you look at the full-time, about 50%, half of them are 19 or younger. So those are straight out of high school. And then we also have almost 30% of the students full-time. Again, these are all full-time students who are between the age of 20 to 24. So that's what we normally would call traditional age students. And then if you look at the part-time students, those are more what traditionally considered as the age breakdown of community college students. Ethnicity, again, this is, if you look over the last 5 years data, it's been fairly consistent. 65% whites, and then Hispanic composed of the next largest group at around 15%, followed by African American and then Asian. Now here's something I think is probably the most interesting slide here. Developmental status. So what does that mean? Is the percent of the students who take some form of remedial courses. And we usually divide them into 3 groups. One is called non-developmental. That means the students, all the courses that student is registering for this semester are college level. There's no remedial courses at all. There's also developmental exclusive. That means all the courses that student is taking are developmental. And there's also non-exclusive. That means the student could be taking a combination of college level and remedial courses. Now if you look at the new students, first-time students to Three River, 60% of them are now coming in taking college level exclusively, no remedial courses at all. And then 10% of them are taking all remedial courses. And then we have about 30% students take a combination of college versus remedial. And then the following semester, once they're no longer new students, you can see that the percentage of students who are taking non-developmental courses jump by quite a bit. And some of you may be asking, say, it seems like our number in the past has been that 60% of students coming in taking some kind of remedial. How come now the number is down to, if you add 31 plus 10, that's 40%. So it's been like a drop of 20%. So I thought it would be interesting to look at the historical trends. So again, the green color are students who are taking just college level. Blue color are the ones who are taking a combination of college and remedial. And then the kind of purple reddish color are the ones who are exclusively taking developmental. And as you can see, from fall of 10 to 12, that is pretty consistent. We're ranging between 66% to 60, 70%. But then right around fall 13, that number started dropping drastically. And that's when I believe multiple measure placements start taking place. And that is, I think, one of the major reasons that may not explain all of it, and we're still working on trying to figure out. But I think multiple measure in general try to place students up by considering multiple different factors so that students are not placed into a remedial course purely based on one standardized test. So now, let's also take a look at the data on where do we get our students by service area towns. And again, these numbers are fairly consistent looking back. Norwich, Groton, New London, Montvale, Ledger, and then those compose. So these top 10 towns have about 80% of our students. And the rest of the 20% come from towns around in Connecticut as well as outside of Connecticut, and a few international students as well. Top feeder high school, Norwich Academy, Fitch High, Leisure, Montville. Again, there's no surprise. It's been fairly consistent. Although because of the declining enrollment, we can also see that from each one of these high schools, we can see a sort of a downward trend. So that's something definitely we have to work on. Oops. And I also wanted to just bring you back to the college website, because I know that the data that I showed you is fairly high level, and I just wanted to show you how you can actually navigate to the college's fact book, because there's a lot more detailed information. So if you go to About Us, go to Institutional Research, and then over here, there's the Three Rivers Community College fact book. Within there, it's divided. I tried to provide the data in sort of smaller chunks, so you're not downloading a 30 pages fact book and trying to find the specific data you're looking for. So I try to break them into individual tables. Fall enrollment, spring enrollment, a little bit of summer enrollment data, as well as graduation transfer and retention data. So I think my experience is that almost 60-70% of the data requests coming through the office, my office, the information is already on the fact book. So I would encourage you, as much as I love to talk to you about data, if you could come here first, see if you can find what you need, and then if you need to discuss it or need further data, then come talk to me. So, thanks. Next is Dean Lopez. If you think I talk number, you're in for surprise. How do you? Is it here?
Just go down here.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Just half of my lecture or presentation will be the Grim Reaper side of it, so we're going to have some good news initially. I wanted to do a couple things, just give everybody a real quick snapshot highlight for fiscal year 14. You can certainly refer back to some details. I sent everybody an email, I believe it was June 27th, on some more detailed information. But again, I just wanted to recap where we finished on 14. And even though, as all of us know, we realized a 3.2% decline in enrollment in the fall and a 6.2% decline in the spring, because the college really did a wonderful job in effectively managing its spend down, watching budgets, and really paying particular attention to our operating fund base. We actually closed last year with about a $275,000 surplus. So that was tremendous in comparison to the rest of the system. And again, it's really to everyone's credit here on how we manage that base. That actually contributed fairly significantly to our reserve account. And that brought us up to about $3.5 million in our reserves, about 8.5% growth from the prior year. We have some flexibility with this reserve account. The system office does not like us to draw down that reserve if in fact we anticipate closing in the red, which we'll talk about here in a minute for this fiscal year. But that certainly can be used in circumstances like that. But another availability for these reserves are for special projects, and this is outlined in board policy. With Dr. Gray's permission and the President's desire, we can actually look at some special projects, and I know that the President is thinking of just that, and how we can move forward from a lot of different aspects. So we have some available resources to really think strategically and to really initiate some strategic projects. So I just wanted to note that. Some of the other areas that really helped us last year is we did a very good job of managing our service contracts wherever we could reduce our costs, whether it be some cost cutting in our snow removal. I did some restaffing of our security. And for one of our auxiliary streams of revenue, our food service program, we've remained profitable. Last year we reorganized that, if you recall, about a year and a half ago. We ended the year with about a $7,000 profit in the food service program, and as of this time, this semester, the program remains very, very profitable as well. So hopefully that will continue. We also saw about a 7% decline in our electricity consumption last year, about a $56,000 savings. And that was on the heels of about $143,000 savings in electricity the year before. So again, we're trying to make some strides there in some cost control. We have some very high-end monitoring systems that we're using for electricity so we can monitor building usage. And as everybody knows and is dear to everybody's heart, we're looking for some savings from this window project. So that will hopefully work out quite well also. And thank you again for everybody's patience with that. We're moving forward on that project. All right, some assumptions that we made initially for 15, some of them still hold true, some of them don't. I just wanted to quickly go over here. 3% enrollment increase for the fall and flat enrollment for the spring. This is what we used to establish our initial fiscal year 15 budget. Unfortunately, the initial assumption for the fall did not hold true. We actually realized a decline of 4.5%. So actually a 7.5% swing from what we initially estimated. That resulted in about a $600,000 reduction in tuition and fee revenue for the fall. So we're trying to manage that to the best we can right now. The other assumption was a 2% tuition increase that was approved by the board. And we have word that 2% tuition increase annually will stay in place for the foreseeable future. So we don't necessarily anticipate any more of a tuition increase than that in the years ahead. We also projected a supplemental tuition increase of about $340,000 from the Go Back to Get Ahead program. Unfortunately, they estimated about 180 students would be eligible and would register for that program for Three Rivers. We actually had a total of 18 students who registered. So we tended the projection. And the revenue that amounted to was only about $28,000. So again, less than 10% of the revenue that they had anticipated for us. So we obviously had to make an adjustment from that assumption. The other assumption we used is a 5.5% salary increase, 5% growth in fringe. That assumption right now is still holding true. So that was factored into the figures that we established. There is a one-time 3% tuition subsidy that we factored in. That is cash that the system office is providing us on a one-time basis to compensate for the 5.5% salary increase. And then the last assumption is to continue to do our best to stabilize staffing. Okay. I just want to quickly go over some anticipated savings for this year and then to do one quick page overview on the financials. We anticipate some more savings from our service contracts. We consolidated an HVAC contract. We used to run about 3 or 4 of these contracts, and we consolidated into one. Expect a few $1,000s in savings there each year. We're going to continue to hopefully realize some utility savings from the window installation. We're looking at a holdback of some division discretionary funding at the end of the year. And then we're going to continue to tweak college overhead in areas of service contracts, supplies, and some other college expenses to see how we fare with that come the end of the year. So with that, I just want to bring up a quick overview here. And I know this is going to be perhaps a bit difficult to see, but I just want to point out a few items here. Let me see how it looks over here. Wow, that's really tough. Okay.
Get emailed as well.
Yeah, what I'll do, folks, this is a little bit tougher than I thought. Let me just see if we can zoom in, if that will help. Is that helping any? Maybe one more? A little better? But the numbers are, the numbers are... We'll go back down here. Let me do that. Okay. Just a few numbers. We're all about numbers. All right, just again, to emphasize the tuition and fee figure I mentioned before, about $93,000 decrease from the drop in enrollment for the fall. This figure here is $78,000 decrease. 75 of that is a decrease in bookstore commissions. Okay, and that obviously results from the declining fall enrollment. A couple other key features here, $109,000 decrease in the expenses for adjuncts. Again, that is the faculty workload adjustment for the decrease in enrollment. So there was an expense adjustment there. And then let me just scroll down a little bit. A lot of information here, so as you know, my door is always open. If you want some additional details and some more time to study this, I'm always available, so let me know. Okay, final numbers here. We originally had estimated, if you recall, the financials I sent you this summer, about $141,000 deficit that is for this year. That has changed right now to about a $488,000 deficit, so we're approaching about a $500,000 deficit. Again, from a reserve perspective, even though the system office is asking us to close with a balanced budget, we're going to work our tail off to do that. And everybody is certainly going to help in trying to grow spring enrollment. But if in fact we do end up closing with a deficit, the reserves are there by board policy to hopefully assist us with that. But we're going to certainly work very hard to present to the board a balanced budget. So I will certainly keep everybody advised along the way. I'll send updates as necessary. And again, if anybody has any questions or they just want to really get a better detailed understanding of how the budget works, feel free to see me. I'm happy to talk with you. And next on the schedule is our HR Director, Luis Suma. And thank you for your time.
Maybe we can get to the next slide.
Yes, ma'am. One more. There you go.
Here we go. I'm sorry that this is, thanks, Mike. I'm sorry that this is cut off a little bit. Actually, I want to talk about training for the semester. In addition to the usual mandatory training that you're accustomed to as a full-time employee, the sexual harassment prevention training for supervisors, diversity awareness for all full-time employees, and then lastly, I know that many of you experienced just recently the workplace violence prevention training when we had Peggy Zabauer here last year. So we're going to offer those again this semester, and we've secured some dates and times, and we'll roll those out to you. But what is really important that I want you to be aware of is DCF mandated reporter training. So Department of Children and Families has rolled out an online training video. It's about 20 to 22 minutes long. Many of us have taken the training, gone online to do this. It is required of all of us. We initially talked about doing this and rolling it out in the various constituent units, but the problem with that is getting people together and then taking 22 minutes out of a scheduled meeting is really a big chunk. So what we're going to be doing, you will be getting an email from us. It's probably going to come out through Lori. And it'll be an all TRCC thing, and student employees are included in this as well. We'll have to get to them, we'll have to include them. But you'll be directed to a link. The link right now is available, but you will get this message that says that it's disabled at the moment because they're updating the training to reflect the most recent legislation. We'll give you the steps that you're going to have to take. One of the steps is simply you're going to click on that you're going to take the training, you're going to enter your name and your relevant information. And what that does is it will automatically then send you an email that says, we know that you've registered. We're going to ask you then to just forward that email message to us. We'll have a designee. And then that's how we're going to document this. We will be audited on this. This is something that the state is taking very seriously. And, it's really part of the world that we live in today, sadly. But this is mandated reporting. The type of training you're going to take, there are two options. One says community member or school. You're going to click on the one for school, but we will let you know that. All right, so don't worry about which is which. And, you can certainly do both. The next thing that I want to mention, it's cut off here, but it's supposed to say HEP clinic visit. So I know that you've received emails from Lori that indicate that there are clinics all over the state. So Lori contacted the provider, and they are coming to Three Rivers on November the 7th, and that's going to be from 8:30 to 10:30 in the morning. So hopefully, if you have any health enhancement program questions, you'll be able to go face-to-face and not have to be put on hold or otherwise get aggravated by, some sort of phone call waiting system. So I just want to bring those two things to your attention. So have a great semester, and Steve, I'll ask you to come forward.
Yeah, that conference room also, it's D102, that's what's cut off. I apologize for the cutoffs. We just had new projectors installed, and it's still a work in progress that we will get resolved. We haven't paid the bill on it yet, so. Okay, I just wanted to real briefly remind folks about the MyComNet alert. We went to a new system this year, and I sent out an email probably a week ago. But one of the things we noticed is people updated their cell phone data on in the MyComNet, the banner self-service, but they failed to put in their primary text. Even though it's the same number usually for your primary cell, the system treats the primary cell as a voice device, so it has the ability to send out not only text messages and emails, but we can also send out recorded voice messages through this new system as well. Just wanted to give folks a reminder about information security, and we're getting refresher training in a couple of weeks for the data stewards and data managers, and I'm guessing that we'll do some type of a refresher for folks who, I don't know if you remember about a year ago, we did the online, I forget what it was called, but protecting yourself and you're the threat and all this stuff. So, yeah, protecting the human or something. And we're also going to be working on one of the initiatives as part of Transform CSCU 2020 is a smart classroom prototype. We already have a lot of pretty smart classrooms, we think, but somewhere from above, they think we need to get even smarter classrooms. So we're going to try to put together a prototype. There's a system-wide committee that has been working on this project, and we'll try to use the guidance they give us as well as our own internal best practices to put together what we hope will move ahead on other system-wide or college-wide improvements to our technology in the classroom. So that's all I had, and I'll turn it over to Greg Souza.
Hello, everybody. So I'm here today to talk to you about a major change that's recently occurred to our website. Now, as many of you may know, college campuses across the country are striving to increase their compliance with Title IX, 1972 legislation that prohibits sex-based discrimination of any kind in any educational institution that receives federal funding. Now, what that means is that it's our responsibility to ensure that we provide coordinated and compassionate care to any victims of sexual assault or any form of sexual misconduct who might come forward to us. Now, one of the ways we're achieving this is through the rollout of educational materials that can help to inform what resources we have, what is available to our students, to our staff, to everybody who's part of the Three Rivers community. So I'd like to just offer you a very brief tour of this brand new website, which is sort of the flagship of that informational material. So here we are at the home page. And I'm going to guess that that's probably just about totally illegible. Yep, that's right. Okay. Mildly more helpful maybe, but in any case, this is just there to explain the principle of the thing. So when you arrive at the home page, which by the way is very easy to access from the Student Services tab, if you click on Sexual Misconduct, Resources, and Education, what you'll find is that you've landed on a home page that is a nexus for all the information that anybody could possibly need to get help through the school or to get help through the community. It lists our own internal policies, our own internal procedures, the rights and options of those who come forward, and it also explains how to get help from other free, confidential, 24-hour available services as part of the broader community with whom we've partnered. So just a couple of major features to note. On the right-hand side, we have very persistently which I imagine we can maybe kind of sort of see, probably not. But on the right-hand side, where we're using a computer and not a 40-foot screen that's half projected, but if we were looking at this original screen, what we would see on the right-hand side persistently at all times is the contact information for the Sexual Assault Crisis Center of Eastern Connecticut and Safe Futures. Basically, companies, community agencies rather, that we partnered with to offer 24-hour care to all members of this community. Now,
Just gotta slightly reduce the size, maybe.
oh yeah, window it. So there we go. So that's the basic idea. More than that, on the left-hand side, we have a series of links to explain in nice digestible pieces everything you need to know about our policy and procedures, and perhaps most critically, how to report sexual misconduct. And of course, a page dedicated to definitions explaining precisely what falls under that banner. But here, you can learn what it means to report, to whom you can report, and what happens next. How you can take steps to make sure that you're given care and given justice through our own resources and, of course, as I also suggested, through the community at large. There's a great deal to talk about on this subject, really too much. So what I invite all of you to do is take the time to visit threerivers.edu/SMRE. Of course, you can navigate through the Student Services tab, but threerivers.edu/SMRE will bring you to our homepage and will give you the opportunity to explore what we're doing right now, the current state of our policy, the current state of our resources, what it is we're offering to our students, to our staff, to everybody part of this community. And I invite you to offer feedback. I'm currently managing the content of this website, so by all means, my name is plastered in about half a dozen different locations on this site. Send me an email, give me a call, let me know any questions or concerns you have about anything you see here, because I'm very happy to have that discussion with anyone here. And I'm very happy to hear what we can do to make this even better, because it's going to take a community effort to do the best we possibly can. And I'd also please like to recognize Ken Barfield, hiding behind the camera here, for all of the help that he has given me and to all of us here in making sure this website went live. So thank you very much, Ken. With that, I would just like to say that please do, as I said before, feel free to get in touch with me. I'd like to hear from as many people as possible on this, because we only can keep improving. This is a living document that I intend to continue to revise as we change our procedures, as we change our perspectives, anything and everything. I'd love to hear it. So with that, I'd like to turn things over to Marge Valentin to talk about workforce development. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming. I just want to clear up one little bit of confusion. I did not steal the Tootsie Roll. Dean Lopez stole the Tootsie Roll and put the wrapper on my seat. So, no, I took the Tootsie Roll. I can't. We'll talk about it. I'm Marge Valentin, and I'm the Associate Dean for Workforce and Community Education, and we used to be continuing education, but we changed our name because we really found that it was a misnomer, that people didn't really know what we do, which is basically we do workforce education. And by how we do that is we collaborate with external partners, with businesses, with Eastern Workforce Investment Board, with employer groups, and with school districts and other community colleges to design programs that are relevant and that get people jobs. So we work with a lot of external groups to find out where the training is needed and where the skill gaps are, and then we bring those programs here. And once we get the programs here and develop them here, we kind of do it all from soup to nuts. We're kind of like a college within the college. And then we try to get funding for our students because they're not eligible for Pell. So many of them are economically disadvantaged. So what we do is we work with lots of different groups in the community and state to find funding for our students. And that's through the Eastern Workforce Investment Board, through the College Foundation, which we really appreciate. For the first time last year, we got scholarships for our non-credit students in the College Foundation, and that has really helped our students out by paying half of their tuition. We got a grant from the Southeastern Connecticut Foundation for allied health programs, which are very vibrant and students can come in and come out with sustainable jobs. And we've got some monies from the city of Norwich. And we've gotten grants over the last several years from the Board of Regents who got collaborative grants from the U.S. Department of Labor. We just finished a pre-manufacturing program that we had for 3 years that got students either into jobs in manufacturing or they could transition on into credit manufacturing. So we just finished that this summer. Just to tell you how many people we served last year, program year 13-14, we served 1,700 students unduplicated. And if that's every single student, but if you count our registrations or our enrollments, we served about 5,200 students. And about 14% of those 5,200 students are also taking credit classes. So this really is a bridge for students to come into the college that haven't been here before and possibly move on and take credit classes either while they're in our programs or after they finish. And just a couple of the really kind of big initiatives that we have going on this year. We're working on a program called the P-TECH program, and it's something that Norwalk is doing with IBM and the Norwalk Public School System. It's going to be replicated here in Norwich and also in Wyndham, and it's now called Connecticut Echo. It's a new name for Connecticut. They're rebranding it because IBM was established in Brooklyn, New York, so they want to rebrand it for Connecticut. So anyway, so we're working on that with Norwich Public Schools, with the STEM Magnet School in New London, and with the college, and with EB, and with the Eastern Advanced Manufacturing Alliance, which is a group of manufacturers here in the region that have been advising us and serving as a catalyst for manufacturing initiatives. So we're working on that, hopefully to be implemented next year. And I'm really happy to say, and kind of close it out with, last week we got announced that we secured a $1.28 million contract or grant from the Connecticut U.S. Department of Labor for a metals manufacturing initiative. So we're really happy about that because it's been our manufacturers, the EMA group that I talked about, that has really pushed to make that happen, and they've really been proactive, and we're really thrilled about that, and hopefully this time next year we'll have a program up and running. So that is it, and I think we did really good with the time because it's about 1:01. So with that, I will hand the mic over to President Chakowski.
Thanks, Marge. This is the first of what I hope will be a series of all-college meetings to keep everybody updated and apprised at what's happening in the college, because each and every one of you are stakeholders and you need to know what we are dealing with on a state level. You also need to know what's happening internally in terms of the initiatives that are taking place. And the more informed you are about the college, the better you will be at telling prospective students, prospective parents, others who are interested in Three Rivers about what a dynamic and great place this is to work and to get an education at. I also want to echo Betty's words about contributing to the annual fund. My goal is to have 100% participation by the faculty and staff here at the college. What that means is it doesn't matter how much you give, just give. So please, please, please give to the annual fund, because I would love to be able to go to the Three Rivers Foundation Board and say we have 100% giving at the college. And so Marge, here is my, not Marge, but Betty, here is my gift to the annual fund.
Thank you.
Lastly, I would like to leave you with a quote. You know, I said at our professional development day that the theme for the year was that we weave the future together, the fabric of our future together. And so I came across this quote by Meg Wheatley in her book, Leadership and New Science. And so I'd just like to share it with all of you, because we all have one goal, and that is to educate students and to create a learning environment in which we as individuals flourish and grow as professionals. So here's a quote. We need each other differently now. We cannot hide behind our boundaries or hold on to the belief that we can survive alone. We need each other to test out ideas, to share what we are learning, to help us see in new ways, to listen to our stories. I want people to sail with me through this puzzling and frightening world, especially the landscape of higher education now. I expect to fail at a moment on this journey, to get lost. How could I not? And I expect that you too will fail. Even our voyage is cyclical. We can't help but move from old to new, new to old. We will vacillate, one day doing something bold and different, excited over our progress. The next day, back to our old behaviors, confused about how to proceed. We need to expect that we will wander off course and not make straight progress to our destination. To stay the course, we need patience, compassion, and forgiveness. We should require this of one another. Every moment of this journey requires that we be comfortable with uncertainty and appreciative of chaos's role. Every moment requires that we stay together. After all is said and done, we have the gift of each other. We have each other's curiosity, wisdom, and courage. And we have life, whose great ordering powers, if we choose to work with them, will make us even more curious, wise, and courageous. As we together weave the fabric of our future. Have a great weekend. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate your attention, your dedication, and your commitment to our students and to each other. Thank you all very much.